And with that, we are shifting our focus, but we remain on the Supreme Court as it now hears a petition seeking legalizing of same-sex marriages in the country. Now, as per the petitioners, they are saying that the government has done nothing despite the Supreme Court order in the Nalsa and Navteej Johar cases. The petitioners' counsel have also said that they want a life of dignity and of marriage. So these are the pleas before the Supreme Court. Remember, the Supreme Court is looking at a clutch of petitions that are seeking legalizing the same-sex marriages in the country. This has happened after the Supreme Court, in a landmark verdict, has decriminalized same-sex and how there has been a further plea where the petitioners are wanting a life of dignity and of marriage is the plea that is before the Supreme Court at the moment. We also know how there have been various pleas that are opposing this particular argument that has been given by the various petitioners, whether it is the Muslim Personal Law Board or even the government of India or even NCPCR for that matter. So even those are going to be looked at by the Supreme Court today. My colleague Ananya has more details. Ananya, this is going to be possibly a very, very historic day from what is the kind of judgment that comes out of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court had already mentioned that this is going to be a very, very seminal affair. Now that we know the first batch of petitions are being presented, what is in which direction really is the case really heading from here on?
Well, definitely, this is the beginning of, if you remember what had happened in the 377 Navteej Johar judgment, it is again, in fact, a day of history for us, and it would be continuing, and as soon and when this matter would conclude, it would be a historic judgment anyway, whichever way it goes, but it would definitely be a historic judgment. But first, I'd like to take you through the arguments that have happened so far. The central government had come in and has raised objections over, the preliminary of the submission, clearly saying that, the courts are not the correct forum to actually debate upon this issue. There is a socio-economic, aspect that has to be dealt with, and that is for the legislature to do so, because there are hundreds of people. And in fact, a very, very peculiar line that came in from the Solicitor General of India while he was actually opposing these petitions, and I'll quote it, and I quote the Solicitor General, is that this is not an issue that can be debated on by only 5 individuals on one side, 5 learned individuals on the other side, and 5 brilliant minds on the bench. We don't know what the views of a farmer in South India or a businessman may be. It needs to be considered, and then only something can be done. So basically, the Solicitor General pointing out that, this is a matter that needs to be dealt by the Parliament itself, and only after debates in the Parliament this could be done. But now the petitioners have begun their argument. Senior Advocate Mukul Rohatgi, who was also one of the key persons.
Ananya, I request you to stay on with us. Let's actually hear from the Supreme Court itself, because we are looking at the verdict that's currently being, the judgment that's currently being heard. Let's take a look.
So, my lord, if I may answer first the Chief Justice. My lord, if your lordship sees 2015, I have understood the drift, my lord. There the legislatures acted. They acted pursuant to the judgments or feelings of people. They acted. Here, but in 2015, my lord, as far as Obergefell is concerned, it recognized the right of the same-sex marriage and legalized the same. That was a judicial imprimatur. It legalized.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sorry.
There were constitutions and there were laws which were amended or enacted which prohibited gay or same-sex marriages. Same-sex marriages. Obergefell actually struck down that and said,
right,
you have a right to marry. Now, the wheel has turned a full circle, where you have a complete federal cover, in the sense that you have a...
Yes, your lordship is right.
Right? So, we are at that stage.
Yes.
So,
yes, your lordship is right.
Is, we are at that stage, so how do we go about this?
So, my lord...
One is the declaration part,
which I am seeking. My lord, what I am respectfully submitting, answer to both of your lords, so 3 of your lords. My lord, if, as distinct from UK and other places, if we have a fundamental right under 14, 19, 21, whatever, to be treated as identical and equal to our other brethren, then the full enjoyment of our rights to be equal to them includes the right of dignified life. If it includes the right of dignified life, which includes the right to choose a partner for marriage or choose a friend or a freedom of expression, whatever we want to express, need not only be in writing. Expression can be, my lord, in love or other forms. And that it is now settled that it is innate. It is not an acquired, my lord, thing. Call it queer, call it what you like.